Extremist movie debate. Extremist movie debate. Extremist movie debate.
It's the Extremist movie debate, and tonight we're talking 2017's Baby Driver.
I am Joe.
I'm Ethan, and one of us is going to love it, one of us is going to hate it.
Let the coin decide their fate.
I think you hated it.
I think so, too.
And I loved it.
It's the first time I dropped it. It used to be my thing. Oh, you dick.
Hey guys, don't hang out and wait for us at a cafe to shoot us. There's spoilers ahead.
All right, perfect. And this movie currently holds a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which makes it certified fresh. Those are my sunnies, by the way. Ethan, since you hate this movie, this first question comes for you. This comes from Armand White of the National Review.
Of course it does.
So saddle up, folks. Armand says, for those who have desperately waited for morality to return to the movies after Tarantino's paradigm shift into nihilism, Baby Driver is almost it, but that's exactly how it pampers. Wright's evocation of cinematic history demonstrates the blinkered moral lookout that once defined the baby boomer generation and now millennials. The fears and scant hopes we feel today are personified in Baby, a hero on the Asperger's scale who shades himself from the world and plugs earbuds into his head, feeding the energy of pop songs into his alienated existence.
I fucking hate Armand White.
It's not called the scale, it's called the spectrum, and false.
So, Ethan, can you point to some examples of where the film successfully paid homage to heist films of old? You have 1 minute.
Well, yeah, it absolutely paid homage to heist films of old. I mean, you've got car chases, bank robberies, planning in an abandoned warehouse, backstabbing, bullshit like that. But the problem of the movie, like, those movies, you can say what you want about them. I think they're terrible, and I think that this movie is terrible, and I think that's largely because it's glorifying a life of crime. You have Baby, who is this character who, as poor deaf Joe says at one point in the end, oh, he just made one mistake in his life and he's been paying for it ever since. How many innocent people have to die so that he can pay off his debt to his one mistake? Because he exists, he allows all these other people to succeed, and when these other people succeed, they go on killing sprees, and they kill cops, and they kill bank tellers, and they kill innocent people, run amok. All, I'm just driving down the highway, going on a road trip with my family, dead. Because Baby is paying for his one dumb debt, because he boosted a car when he was a kid. It just shows that you commit a crime, you can be a criminal, and you'll probably always be a criminal, and you'll just perpetuate that life of crime forever.
Okay, thank you, Ethan. Joe, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I think it's humorous that Ethan's saying that this movie glorifies a life of crime when the entire thing is about Baby wanting to get out of that life because he doesn't like it and he doesn't agree with it. And he continually shows him saving people's lives while he's trying to stop the people who are in this world of criminals. Like Jamie Foxx is a very dislikable character. I hated him. And when Baby stopped him from shooting a guy, you can see that moral dilemma that Baby has. So it's not glorifying it, it's showing the complexity within the issue.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Ethan, you have 15 seconds to respond.
Just because he makes one step in the right direction a couple of times doesn't mean that he's not complicit.
One step a couple of times.
Yeah, he's still
That
very
makes a lot of
complicit. He
sense.
still says,
Jesus
I will.
Christ.
He still says, I will drive. I will go ahead and do this for you, and thereby let other people die. And just because they happen to be close to him, or he has an
Thanks,
opportunity to
Ethan.
save
I got to
these people.
cut you off there. Joe, you have a final 15 to respond?
Yeah, he's just deciding to do it when Kevin Spacey says, I can murder everybody you love, and I could break your legs. That's just a decision that he's making on his own. You're right, Ethan. You really nailed it.
Okay, thank you. And we're going to move on to our next question. Joe, this is for you. This comes from Anthony Lane.
He never says that.
Of The New Yorker. Tony says, although Baby Driver is not so much of a movie, it is an excellent music video, a club sandwich for the senses, lavishly layered with more than 30 songs. So, please speak on some of the ways the music actually progressed the pacing and overall plot of the film. You have 1 minute.
Okay, so the sound design in this movie is fucking incredible. Because all of the ambient noise and all of, setting a plate or closing a door or, making a sandwich, it all, fits into the sound design. So whatever song is playing, they're actually pacing it, they're pacing all of the ambient noises with that song. So everything's in time to the music that's playing. So while it, I don't disagree that it is kind of a music video throughout the entirety, but they're actually telling a deeper, more human story, and they're using the music and they're using that pacing and that beat to enhance the story as a whole. And it's just kind of like a really nice thing to pick up on while you're watching it. You can give it to him.
Okay, Mr. Giggles, you have 30 seconds to respond.
I can't do it. Let's try to burp for 30 seconds. Look, just because the sound design matches up things in this to other things, like it's just following a video track and matching up a sound wave, all right? It's not even technically that elaborate. So what you have is essentially that moment where you're walking through school or you're walking on the bus and all of a sudden the music you're listening to just lines up with one thing that happens, and that happens once every year, you know, or something, the world lines up. That happens consistently throughout this movie, which is why it's bullshit.
Joe, you have 15 seconds to respond.
Well, it's not bullshit because it's all going in. We're watching it from the perspective of Baby, and this is how Baby lives his life because this is how he needs to live his life because of the hum and the drum. So we're just seeing more insight into his character.
Thanks. And Ethan, you have a final 15 to respond.
He can listen to music all that he wants, but it's not going to make his life line up with anything. It's complete happenstance, and it just makes this movie a fantasy. It makes it implausible, and it takes us out.
All right, and we'll open up the floor for discussion. You guys have 4 minutes and go.
I don't understand why matching up a waveform is like, oh, this is the best movie ever. Look, they matched up to waves.
No,
they can edit to a beat, just like music videos
that's
always
inaccurate
ever.
Because there's the scene where he's making the sandwich for Grandpa Joe, and
So it's Grandpa.
he is the one. Well, yeah, but they call him Grandpa Joe.
No, they don't.
For Joe,
They
old
call
Joe.
him Old Deaf Joe.
Old Deaf Joe. So basically, they're matching, like, he is matching the beat while he makes the sandwich.
Yeah.
So we're seeing direct actions by
Okay, well,
Baby
what about that
matching up
bullshit
with the music
montage
that
when he's walking
listening.
through the city and doing everything in perfect time? And they make coffee in amazingly
Again,
3
those are
seconds.
all his actions. So he's the one placing those beats upon the song. So
Oh,
we're
they
watching
made the
it
coffee in
from
time for him?
So we're watching his perspective
then all of a
of
sudden-
the world. So we're getting
Jesus.
deeper into the complexity of Baby's existence and how he views the world. And if you have a problem with that, that's boo-hoo, too bad for you.
I mean, yeah, I've got a problem with it. It doesn't make any sense.
It does make sense, and I just explained why. Because
You're
we're seeing it
saying
from
it's
his
because,
perspective.
he does
We're
everything,
seeing it-
but
we're
he
seeing
doesn't
it-
actually
but
do
we're seeing
everything
it from
through that
his
movie.
perspective. We're seeing
Things
it through
are
his lens.
consistently happening through this movie
We're watching the world through the eyes
that are completely
of Baby.
away
just
from
because
his power.
Just because you can't, like, connect to this man who's gone through a traumatic event in his life.
Look,
just
okay.
because you
It's
have
a-
high ceilings,
It's a fun
you're
way
a Rockefeller,
to try to connect
nothing's
with the
ever gone
character.
wrong.
I think that the idea of it is a fun way to connect with the character. I don't think that it lands because it just comes off as fantasy. However, if it did make us connect with the character, how would that help grow his character at all? We have a character who likes to listen to music and live in a fantasy land.
That puts us
That's
into
all
his
that he
point of view.
is.
That puts
It
us
doesn't make
into
us
his
happy or
that
sad
puts
for
us into
him or
his
think
point of
bad
view.
things
And then
about
we
his
can-
family
when
dying in a
into
car
his
wreck.
point of view, we're seeing the world through his lens, so that lends more emotional weight to what
And
he is
even
going
so,
through.
isn't
'Cause
that
we
just
can
a rip
empathize
off
with
of the
him
awesome
more.
mixtape and
We
nothing
can
more than
empathize
that?
with him
At
more.
the very
We can
best, it makes us
empathize with him
empathize
more
with his
while we
parents
see
dying,
how
which is
he's
what the
seeing
awesome
it.
mixtape has done and continues to do.
what? I wasn't
The
listening.
awesome mixtape from
I
Guardians
was
of the
actually
Galaxy.
making
It's
a point
essentially
instead of
the
just
same
vomiting.
empathetic plot point, and
You what?
you
I
choose
can't
not
hear-
to listen to
I
me.
can't hear what you're saying because it's just nonsense. I can't hear the nonsense. I have to wear
Yeah,
these.
it's
to cut through
amazing
your
that you
bullshit
can not hear
and
me
actually
while you're
understand
listening to
what's
music,
going
isn't
on.
it? Because that's another point of the character. Isn't it amazing that he can hear all of these things
He pays
while
attention,
listening to
cuts through the
music?
noise.
No, yeah,
Because
you can't do anything.
we see that in the scene where
John
Jamie Foxx,
Bernthal
where
is
Jamie
completely
Foxx,
right.
where
Which,
Jamie
speaking
Foxx,
of, John
where Jamie
Bernthal,
Foxx
did
is
he
just
die
like-
during the production of this or
where
something?
Jamie Foxx is just like, this motherfucker's not even paying attention, and then.
Yeah.
Baby actually explains
Which is a
everything,
perfectly
so it
reasonable
just
thing to
shows him-
assume.
Yeah, to assume, but then it shows that Baby actually, this is what works for him.
Because
and this
magic.
is why he's such a good driver.
Doesn't
because
make sense.
He can cut through the bullshit.
We don't
But he
understand
can-
why he's a good driver
See,
at all. Did
Ethan,
he
I
take
think
lessons?
This is the problem.
How did
This
he
is
learn
the
to
problem.
Tokyo drift?
Because whenever you talk, the bullshit that comes out of your mouth is the static that Baby has to drown out. So you are the
Look,
static. So you're not
here's the thing.
self-aware
These are
enough to
this is
understand that
style
you're
points.
the problem.
They're style points, and it
That's the
makes the
problem.
movie
John
seem
Bernthal,
cool.
Kevin Spacey says, I never work with the same crew twice.
Yeah, but then he proceeds to work with John Hamm and that other girl again.
Well, they're a couple. They're a package deal, but they're not working with John Bernthal.
It doesn't make
again.
sense. It makes
It's
us
a whole
assume.
new crew. It's a whole new crew.
It makes us assume that when he says that he has an infinite crew, but then he kills that guy, and so like we keep thinking, oh, he has an infinite crew. Yet he goes back to John Hamm and that other girl.
Well, 'cause
it
they're
doesn't
the
make any
best at what
sense.
they do.
And so John Bernthal is in this movie for all of 2 seconds just to blow us with exposition, and then disappears.
What exposition?
And
Can
he
you
is
explain?
essentially just Jamie Foxx's character. It doesn't make any sense why. Oh, I swap out all of my team, which half of the team, no, you do not, and
Yeah,
the other
because-
half of the team,
because it's a
you
different
don't
team.
need to.
Because Bats-
you made up this reason to
Bats
get rid
Bunny
of John
and-
Bernthal, and that's
Bats
it.
Bunny
And we
and
don't
Bunny
understand
had
why,
never
because
worked
John
together. They had
Bernthal was
never worked
awesome.
together. They had never worked together, so it's a whole new team. When you swap out a part, it's a whole new team, bud. So
That is
I'm so
stupid.
sorry you don't understand how crime works. Like
Okay,
I do.
thanks. I'm
They're
gonna
still
have
the same faces on cameras. It's irrelevant.
I'm gonna have to cut you guys off there. Before we talk about how we really feel, I actually just got a text from Edgar Wright, and so John Bernthal is unfortunately no longer with us. So if we have a moment,
So
of
he did die
silence-
during production.
May he
Yeah.
rest.
Okay, all right, because that makes sense.
So there will no longer be a Punisher series on Netflix. Anywho, how'd you guys really feel?
It's all right.
I loved it. It's not my favorite of his movies, but in a lot of ways, yeah.
The marketing fucked with me because I went in based on the trailer. I went in thinking, oh, he's going to try to get out, and that's going to piss Kevin Spacey off. So he's going to send like John Bernthal,
Sure.
and shit. He's going to send all of his guys after Baby. So that's what I was expecting the whole time, and that's not at all what the movie is, which is fine. But that those expectations kind of fucked with what I was expecting, and since it didn't line up, I didn't love it. But at the same time, like you keep seeing these reviews and you hear these like other filmmakers saying like this is the most original movie in decades, and I was like, no, it's not. Like this is just Tarantino. He's just doing he's just mishmashing together a bunch of scenes and like moments of movies that he really loved, which is fine because I like those movies. I like Tarantino.
And
but
adding
like
his own flair to it.
But yeah, you get Blues Brothers, you get Heat, you get True Romance, you get French Connection, Vantage Point. You get all these movies, which is cool.
Drive/The Driver.
Yeah, so like you get these like aspects that are cool, but I almost think like everything surrounding this movie is almost just misleading for when you walk into it. My biggest like actual gripe about it is Kevin Spacey's sudden shift at the end, where he was just like, "All right, I'll help you out just because you have a girlfriend." Like I didn't buy that. But overall, like
It's because he's like an angry dad figure,
well, that's the thing. It's like all the
which is hard to do with also this weird sort of mob boss.
Well, no, like all the elements are there to explain everything, but it seems like Edgar Wright is thinking that the audience is going to really assume a lot because we have the scene with Sam, so that's Kevin Spacey's son. So we get that, so it's like, oh, he's a father and he was in love once. So
His nephew, but
well, no, yeah, but it is his son.
he said it was his nephew.
He said, "Baby, this is your nephew." So even there, so it is Kevin Spacey's son. So I mean, I think that's the thing is like you have to make a lot of assumptions, and you have to make these like small leaps to make the emotional motivations make sense. So I think it's all there, but I don't think Edgar Wright necessarily did the work to connect all the dots for us, which you don't necessarily need to do because that just makes audiences lazy. I get that. But I think this movie's worth watching just based on like the action of it. Like Edgar Wright made a completely new movie for him, and like I think he pulled it off. I think it's going to be much better with subsequent viewings for me.
Excellent action, excellent style. Bill Pope again shines. Gotta love that Bill Pope. He's a cinematographer. He rules. Can shoot elaborate chase scenes where you know every second of it where the car is in relation to every other car on the road and where it's going, and you can kind of map it out in your head. That's so fucking difficult and never seen on the screen really anymore. Everything is just zoom, zoom, cut to the inside, zoom, zoom, cut to the inside, close up of the tires, and to have people that can actually shoot and edit this movie well and coherently, that's fantastic. I do like the story, I like the characters. I always love the foreshadow in Edgar Wright movies.
Right.
Loved it. As soon as I see Jamie Foxx wearing red, I'm just waiting for him to get impaled. Sorry, spoilers, because
I don't like being happy when people die, but I was so overjoyed when they killed Jamie Foxx. I hate it. Like
I just love it because
he is fantastic in this movie, but I hated him so much.
Yeah, definitely. But he's also basically just John Bernthal's character. That also kind of bothered me.
I didn't care about that.
It seemed weird to me. But yeah, I mean, as soon as you see those metal poles coming out, you're like, oh, now that scene's matching up. You just... for people who weren't paying attention, it's when he's flipping through on the TV and everything that he sees on the TV is going to happen through the movie. It's kind of like an Edgar Wright thing.
It's trademark.
It is, yeah. He foreshadows the fuck out of every movie he does in the first act.
So two things. I did really love the sound design. I thought they did a wonderful job essentially syncing all the beats up. And you can say it's as easy as you want.
No, they did. Yeah.
I think this movie should win for sound design.
Very,
at the
very
Oscar.
well choreographed. Yeah.
Secondly, I think Pierce Brosnan, I'm pretty
GoldenEye.
sure he was in the opening scene, that one shot.
Okay.
I think he was the hobo sitting on the bench.
Okay, maybe.
I'm pretty sure that was Pierce Brosnan. So, and that's an Edgar Wright kind of thing to do too. So I thought that was very cool if that was him.
What kind of surprised me the most is that this movie was like borderline a musical heist movie, which I never would have expected, just based off of the trailers. And I think the only small complaint I have is in the first heist when Baby does like the Tokyo drift turn around like the trailer hitch in the alleyway. They do the above shot, and I mean, you can just see where the ground was wet so they could get like the turn of it. And that's the outside of that was just like, I was like, oh, I see that. Outside of that, it's like, I loved this movie. So
That could have just been a spill from the garbage.
just over, like a
Just
50-foot
perfect
garbage
there that he did not see around that car, but yep.
No, but I mean, even that, it's just like, that's like such a small nitpicky thing that I just was like, oh, that's a thing I noticed, but then like just immediately was back in the movie. So.
Yeah, and then one of the next shots is he clips the little tire track thing to bend it over into a cop car, so like he is able to use his world and the surroundings to his advantage. It's not just happenstance. That's a valid point.
No, that's happenstance.
Great.
What would you guys rate it?
I'd give it a 7. A bit. I mean, I watched it last night, so I don't know how much thunder I could give it, but I've been thinking about it all day. And like when I walked out, I was just like, yeah. But like throughout the, 16 hours since I've watched it, it's just like, I like this a lot more than I thought when I first walked out. So
I'll give it an 8 and a bit of thunder. I think that I'm going to end up probably buying this and watching it more times, and every time I watch it, I'll like it more and more, which happens a lot with some of these movies like Hot Fuzz and World's End. Those ones I was kind of meh about in theaters and just love now. So I think it'll be that.
I'm going 9. Lots of thunder.
Nice.
Actually, I honestly really, really loved this movie. So anyway, where can we find you guys?
Well, you can like and subscribe here on your YouTube channel or whatever down below, and you can leave us a comment about a movie you'd like us to do in the future. Send us requests. You can also write down a comment about that movie, something you'd like us to debate about it, and one of our moderators, probably Peter or Jeff, will read it on the episode. Thanks.
Did we get more moderators?
We keep switching out.
Thanks and good night.